Well, the first one comes to us from Diane, and Diane's question is simply this: how do you determine if an injury due to a surgery is because the doctor was neglectful or if it was just bad luck?
Okay, it's easy. You have to have an attorney get the records and have a doctor look at it. Intraoperative injuries are particularly difficult. It depends on what the procedure was and what happened. It could have been a risk of the procedure, in which case there is no actionable case, or it could have been something that should not have been done during that particular surgery. BJ, I think you've had two in recent history where the injury occurred at a point in the patient's anatomy where the doctor shouldn't have even been. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, we had one, it's been a few years ago now, where the doctor was doing abdominal surgery, and nicked the renal vein, a vein to the kidney, which was not in the area, supposedly was not in the area where he was doing the surgery. And when our client, unfortunately, the bleed started and could not be controlled, and he ultimately died after what was routinely a routine surgery, a simple surgery. But the doctor, we filed the case, and the doctor testified that, I didn't do that, I didn't cut it, I wasn't anywhere near there. And he had no explanation for what happened or how the autopsy had shown that the vein had been cut. He tried to suggest it was a tear done by the EMTs or the medical personnel when they're trying to resuscitate the patient, but it was not a rip, it was a cut by a scalpel. So he did it, and he just lied about it. But yeah, if, like Carl says, if they're not supposed to happen, they're actionable. If you're doing abdominal surgery and you got a bunch of, like a girl, you got a bunch of adhesions, and you nick something, that might be okay and within the standard of care as long as you saw that you nicked it and you treated appropriately to fix it. But generally speaking, if it's a risk of the procedure and it happens, that's what you sign the consent form for. That they happen. Unfortunately, bad things happen to good people sometimes.
But to the point of the question, the only way that the patient can find out is to see an attorney and have the attorney order the records and have a doctor look at the records and answer that question as to whether or not it was something that was done from professional negligence, or the key word there is whatever happened, does it fall below the acceptable standard of care in that profession generally? And that the only way you can get the answer to that is through an attorney who has to then depend upon a doctor for the answer to the question.